My 2 years in Bolivia was an amazing adventure, which was life-changing. In addition to being able to participate in a battle against one of the world's worst diseases in one of the world's poorest countries, I also ended up becoming a medical technologist after I returned to the United States. My main area of work continued to be with Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is difficult to believe that more than 40 years have passed since I spent 2 years as a Peace Corps volunteer in Bolivia as part of a tuberculosis control program, which was created with the help and advice of the World Health Organization. After spending 3 months training with the Peace Corps at Camp Armac near Seattle, Washington, 32 volunteers arrived at the airport of El Alto, located on the edge of the 15,000-foot high altiplano above the Bolivian capital of La Paz. After about 2 weeks of in-country survival training in the El Alto area and acclimatization to the high altitude, about 26 of the volunteers set out for the Yungas area, where Peace Corps doctors and other staff members would deliver us to our Yungas sites. The Yungas is an area of Bolivia made up of lush semi-tropical valleys dropping off of the high altiplano. The climate is similar to that of Florida. Fruits such as bananas and oranges grow on the trees, nourished by streams carrying water down the mountains. The Yungas Road is narrow and unpaved as it drops from the 15,000-foot pass above La Paz to around a 5,000-foot elevation where the small towns of the Yungas hang on the sides of the mountain. Tajma was a small town of about 300 people, built on the side of a mountain. The streets were unpaved and became very muddy during the rainy season. Water was piped into the town from a nearby stream, but you had to collect water from several outlets on the street. Water was not piped into the houses. Almost all buildings in the town had mud floors. Buildings were built from mud bricks. The town did have electricity, but the power would often be off for days. There were often avalanches which would close down the roads into the town, cutting off truck traffic and power into the town, especially during the rainy season. In addition to agricultural produce such as coffee, pineapples, citrus fruits, and rice, the Yungas is a coca-producing region where for centuries farmers have built terraces on the mountain sides, allowing coca plants to grow. The leaves of the coca plants are dried in the sun and then packed into large bags, which are transported on trucks back up the Yungas Road to La Paz, where they are sold to Indians at the market. The leaves are chewed, just as tobacco leaves are sometimes chewed in the USA. People often would raise guinea pigs in their homes for food. The animals would run around loose inside the homes as if they were pets, but would eventually be boiled and eaten when ready. There was a school in the town, but it was not very large, and most people only went to school through the 4th grade. The town of Tajma loaned Beverly and me a small building which we converted into a TB clinic, which we called the Consultorio para la Tuberculosis, where we could meet people and interview them concerning symptoms of tuberculosis. We kept our microscopes there and set up a slide staining tray. We also had a pressure cooker, which we used to sterilize syringes and needles. Beverly set up an excellent color-coded card system with which we kept track of our TB patients. We would plan and advertise skin testing programs, both in Tajma and other towns in our area. We often went house to house to give and read skin tests. We once even rode mules into a rural area to run a TB testing campaign in a town which had no roads leading into it. Often only the husband of the family spoke Spanish, so he would translate in order to communicate with his wife, who only spoke Aymara, an Indian language. About halfway through our Peace Corps tour, all the TB volunteers in the entire Yungas area gathered at a hotel in Coroico in the Middle Yungas for a reunion and TB conference. This provided an opportunity for us to compare information on our work sites. Another celebration which occurs in Tajma and all other towns is the celebration of All Saints' Day, when the entire community gathers in the town's cemetery bringing baked bread and other food. The teenagers literally dance on their ancestors' graves. Kathy Waldron, a Peace Corps volunteer in our South Yungas group, lived in Chulamani and ran her TV program from there. After our group's arrival in February of 1967, Kathy raised a chicken in her backyard. When November 1967 arrived, the South Yungas volunteers met at Kathy's house for a Thanksgiving meal, during which chicken substituted for turkey. In Bolivia, each town has a patron saint, and that saint has its own special day. Each town also has a fiesta, possibly lasting several days, which begins on its Saint's Day. These town fiestas are very elaborate affairs in which the entire community participates. Many items were unavailable in Tajma because the town was very small. We could, if necessary, catch a ride on the back of a truck for the 45-minute trip into Chulamani, the largest town in our area. The town, with a population of 2,000, had items such as toilet paper or hammers available for sale. There was also a small hospital there with a doctor and several nurses. If necessary, you could rent a hospital bed for the night. While in Bolivia, I also visited other areas of the country outside the Yungas. Some examples are the ruins of Tiwanaku on the Altiplano, which was built by a pre-Inca culture. The highest commercial ski resort in the world, located at an elevation of about 19,000 feet in the Andes. In order to start a fire in the ski lodge, it is necessary to use an oxygen tank. I went down into a tin mine in Aurora, Bolivia, which was 1,000 meters or 3,000 feet below the ground surface. It was necessary to be lowered down a mine shaft. One of the interesting things which I did while living in Tajma was to construct a microprojector using a microscope, carbon rods, a large tin can, and magnifying glasses. With this carbon arc projector, I was able to project a magnified image of one-celled animals moving around inside a drop of water onto a foot-wide screen. This amply illustrated the need to boil one's drinking water. One time on a bus, I was returning from La Paz to Tajma, and we came to the edge of an avalanche where the entire road had collapsed. So we had to wait there at one side of the avalanche while another truck came up to the side, led into the Yungas. And we had to hold onto our bags and walk across to the other side. The drop was like 1,000 or 2,000 feet. And if you had slipped off of this little narrow path, then you would have fallen a very long distance.